Hello everybody, welcome to Vestals, welcome to my vlog Vita's Life in China. I'm Vita and my today's topic is fear. Today I will talk about fear in our professional lives. We all know that fear is an emotion, fear is also an instinct, and we all experienced many fears within our lives. It is normal that we are afraid of different things, but sometimes fear can motivate us. We can run faster if there is something which frightened us behind us, but it can also block us. If we are a person who is afraid of risk, who is afraid of uncertainty, this will really be an obstacle for you if you want to run your own business. So today I will tell you my 3 stories about my experience with fear, and maybe this can motivate you to start to think about what type of person are you, and how maybe you can change your way of thinking about fear. When I was young, I was a fearless person. I was really afraid of nothing. I remember I was skiing. I was skiing so fast. I finished in one house. I broke my leg, my head. I finished in the hospital. But nothing. When I was better, I again stand on my skis, and again I was fearless. When I was 30 years old, I quit. My very good job in the public company, theater company, and with my husband I started a new small company, a new private theater. And often my students ask me, were you afraid of a new beginning? Did you feel like, oh, what will happen? Were you afraid of this new step? I must tell you, I was not afraid. I was so excited and I was so motivated. I had so much energy, and I couldn't wait to start this new life. And I was really not afraid of my future life. My husband, he's 6 years older than I am, so he was a little bit afraid because of, he didn't know how we are going to survive without a fixed salary, without monthly money, but this was not something I was afraid of. I just knew that we can do it. Just tell me what to do, I will do it. I can do this, that, no problem. Yes, this strong motivation really helped a lot. The first time I really experienced fear was when our war in Croatia started. This was the first time I experienced in my life the fear of death. We all experience this type of fear in our lives, and this is normal. But if we only think about the possible death, we cannot live. And then you can ask yourself why I'm here on this earth if I only think I will pass away. Because life is very interesting thing. We must die, and this is always the end. But thinking about death every day, this really can block your life. It can block you to reach your goals. So at that time when war started, I was really afraid, because when our city was bombed and my husband was in army, and this was the worst period I can remember during my life. So when the war stopped, I was again fearless. When I changed my job, I started to produce performances again. I was not afraid. But you know why? Because I didn't have enough knowledge about what can happen in the future. If I would have knowledge, if I would know theory, maybe I would be more afraid. Because when you know what can happen, it can maybe block you. So this is the blessing of having no enough knowledge. The biggest change happened in my life when I was 57, and this was almost 30 years later. And when I decided to move to China. And also, this is very often, people ask me, were you afraid of this big step? I again answered, no, I was not afraid. I was not afraid. I was so excited. And even I didn't have a job. Even I knew I will go to another culture, completely different culture that I will know nobody there, that this will be really a new life, that I didn't know how to say one single word in Chinese language, but I was not afraid. At that time, I finished my PhD. I knew so many things. I finished so many workshops, seminars, educations. I was like equipped with so many new skills, knowledge, and of course, experience. So I was not afraid. I knew something will happen, which will be good for me. And when I came here, and everything was good, of course, and I'm still here in China, and I'm happy that I was not in stress before I left my ex-life. Maybe after this war, the worst period of my life was when I was 5 years. I was writing my blog, and I was writing about situation and culture in my country, and I was in a big conflict with big boys in my city, and at that time I really experienced fear of existential. I have already had my daughter. I was not alone, and this was those 5 years were not fearless years, and I'm happy this is behind me. But what saved me during that terrible period of time? I was sure that I'm doing the right thing, that I'm doing something I must do. Values. I was really passionate about what I was doing, and I knew this is something I must do. And this helped. Always, again, this helped. And I think that this motivation and emotions, which, yes, we can call this values and beliefs, this always can help you in difficult situations. Okay, so let's say that you are not a person who is so lucky that that is born with this lack of fear, that you are a person who is afraid of many things, and you do not like risk, you do not like uncertainties. There are some, let's say, tips and tricks which can help you in on this way to fight against your fears. The first of all, as Adiza said, life is change. Change causes problems, and when we have problems, we must solve those problems, and when we solve those problems, again we have change, which causes problems, and which we must solve, and then we again have change, and after this we have new problems. So life is a big problem, which means life is a risk, and life only brings everyday uncertainties, new uncertainties to us. But there are problems which we can control and we can solve. We cannot solve problems which we do not have under our controls. That is very often. Think about this. How many problems you want to solve in your life and you do not have control under those problems? Try. I was surprised when I started to think about this, when I learned this from Andizes. I started to write down, oh, the list was quite big. So we cannot control problems which we do not have under the control, but we can control problems which we have under our control. So write down those problems and try to imagine what can happen in the future about those topics, and try to think about how can you solve those problems. You must predict problems, and you can predict many problems. But there are also set of problems you do not have under your control because they are from outside. What can you do when problems are like this? You can take again a pencil and a paper, and you can write down also what can happen, and you can predict what can come from outside. Here, there is a very useful method you can use, which theory calls kill the project. Try to imagine what can kill your project, and try to imagine what can be your plan B if this happened. So, we have inside and outside problems which we have under control and problems we do not have under our controls, but we must analyze them. Analyzing problems and possible problems is really great tool, and this you can practice in your everyday life. Also, there is one thing, there are some people who always see only bad things and only can see bad endings. I'm the person who is very optimistic, and I always think I will solve this somehow, but I know I must stop myself of doing this because this can lead me to a catastrophe. So I know I must stop and try to analyze the situation. What I can control, do this. What I cannot control, try to predict. And what is very important to know, when we experience fear, first of all, our body will react. Our heart will start to bump faster, and our brain will also start to work faster, and we will have some tensions in our body. So our blood pressure can grow fast. What can we do at that very moment? Simple thing. We can breathe. Breathing. Okay, you can say, do not talk about breathing. We all breathe. Yes. But when we experience fear, we breathe very shallow. So, 3 deep inhales and 3 long exhales will help you, believe me. So when you realize that you are afraid of something, stop yourself and first breathe, deep breathe. This will also help you before sleeping. This is very useful thing you can do immediately with your body, and this will help. Just try. And what is else I want to propose you is not to be afraid of mistakes. In this country where I live, in China, young people, they are so afraid of making mistakes, but mistakes are precious. We can learn from our mistakes. Of course, some mistakes are very expensive. Some mistakes are cheap, but when we learn something from our mistakes, then we will learn this forever. As Confucius said, what we hear we will forget, what we see we will remember, but only what we experience we can understand. So our mistakes are so good teachers. And yes, only God is not making mistakes. Even Adiza said that he did a big mistake with the big flood. And every day we make so many mistakes. Yes, we can control us if we analyze, if we prepare. But again, we will make mistakes because of change. We can never predict what can happen. But mistakes are precious. Do not think that you can do anything without mistakes. But if we learn from our mistakes, they are not mistakes. They are our knowledge. Take it like this and learn from your mistakes. I think I told you everything what I prepared for today. So do not be afraid of things you can solve life is risk, life is uncertainty, and life, again, I will tell this, life is not an insurance company. Be brave and try to do it. If you are a person who cannot solve this problem of fear, of be afraid of taking risks, so to have own company is not job for you. Try to find a job where you will not be pushed to take risk and responsibility every day. There are a lot of jobs like this, but also you must analyze yourself. For this, follow Vestal's, follow Vita's Life in China, and send me comments, send me your proposals. Maybe you disagree with something, this is welcome. I can learn every day, and my life is lifelong learning. Thank you for watching this video. Subscribe, like, share, comment, and stay tuned with my life in China. Goodbye.